From dynamite left hooks to thunderous power punches and devastating H-bombs, these are the most brutal one-punch knockouts in MMA history. First up, we've got Alex Pereira, the one-punch killer. Back in his prime, nobody could last 5 minutes against him. His most vicious knockout, that went down at LFA 95 on November 20th, 2020, when he put Powell to sleep in the first round with a devastating left hook.
Stands. Blocks another kick. Over and out.
It's probably the craziest example of Pereira's dynamite left hook. It almost looks effortless, but that's the beauty of his game. He sets up his knockout so smoothly that you never see them coming, until you're out cold. While Pereira says his power is in his genes, let's not forget, he used to repair heavy truck tires with a sledgehammer. He had to generate a lot of force in a small space, and I'm sure that contributed a lot to his insane punching power. Obviously, Pereira's power feels like something straight out of a video game, but the top three have some jaw-dropping one-punch KOs that will leave you speechless. But first, a fairly new fighter almost chopped off WEC champion's jaw. At UFC 250, Sean O'Malley, aka Sugar, faced off against former WEC champion Eddie Wineland. Stakes were high for Eddie because, after all, he was a veteran with over 40 fights and had a name to protect. Sugar, on the other hand, showed the potential to become a beast, but many still saw him as just an amateur fighter. However, all those predictions came crashing down in the first round when Sugar knocked out Eddie with a sweet right hand.
Agent O'Malley. Look, he's good with that. That's where O'Malley's good. Right? Whenever he's going in and out, he does a fence.
Sugar left him sitting in the dust. But while he's spent years perfecting those punches, watch how an amateur fighter leaves everyone in shock. Chad Walters, a lesser-known fighter, set the fastest knockout record in LFA flyweight history, and he did it with just one punch. During his fight with Nicholas Gillage, he ended the bout in just 11 seconds. Whoa, that was clean. He caught Nicholas so off guard that he didn't even have time to react. That one punch instantly put Shad on the radar as a potential big thing in the UFC. And if you think these one-punch knockouts are brutal, just wait until we hit the top 5. But first, let me show you how Usman KO'd Masvidal at UFC 261.
And of all the superlatives...
After this brutal punch, I doubt Masvidal's chin will ever be the same. While it dropped Masvidal in the UFC rankings, it was a career-changing knockout for Usman, but punches like these don't happen out of nowhere. He had done his homework, you could see it in Usman's eyes. He was waiting for that perfect moment, and when he found it, he shuffled his feet and threw that punch with pure confidence. That was a work of art, but even that is nothing compared to Ngannou's punching power. Although all of Ngannou's UFC matches deserve a separate video on them. The way he finished Alistair Overeem at UFC 218 won him a sweet spot on our list.
Not a lot of people burning up Mick Maynard's phone to try to get a matchup with Ngannou. Down goes the Reem! Francis Ngannou has arrived!
Wait, I'm getting dizzy myself. He play back one more time. Boom! Whoa, Overeem folded like a lawn chair. Ngannou's ability to track a moving target and destroy it should be studied. After all, the big man holds the record for the most powerful punch in UFC history. But hold up, wait until you see Michael Chandler's gold-winning one-punch knockout. At Bellator 157, Michael Chandler and Patricky Pitbull were pitted against each other for the vacant 155-pound belt. Both put up a tough fight, but Chandler seized the moment, landing a sneaky right hand that put Pitbull out cold. I mean, he kinda deserved that for that funny mustache. Jokes aside, this was one of the deadliest punches I've ever seen in MMA, maybe even more brutal than Ngannou's uppercut. But don't get it twisted, Josh Emmett was no amateur striker. At UFC 296, Josh knocked Bryce out with a devastating punch. The moment Bryce stepped forward to close the distance, Josh caught him with one of the most powerful shots of his career. That punch sent Bryce into another dimension, where the secrets of the universe were probably revealed to him. He literally had seizures on the mat. Man, it scared the hell out of everyone in that crowd. Next up, we have Derek Lewis versus Volkov, a fight with a plot twist so wild it had to make it to this list. The last 10 seconds alone were pure madness. The bout started with Volkov dominating the first 2 rounds with his superior striking and relentless volume. By the start of round 3, Lewis looked completely exhausted and out of gas, but as the round neared its end, Volkov got too comfortable. And that's when Lewis knew it was now or never, and man, did he deliver. Damn, that monstrous right hand and those follow-up hooks knocked the life out of Volkov. Trust me when I say this, it was one of the most shocking last-second knockouts in UFC history. Raymond Daniels versus Wilker Barros at Bellator 222 will always be one of the most unforgettable brawls of 2019. Not just because Daniels was making his return to MMA after 11 years, but because of the insane way he knocked his opponent out. He never gave Wilker a single opening. 4.5 minutes into the fight, just as Wilker tried to close the distance, Daniels unleashed a spinning kick. That spinning back kick almost split the dude in half. But Daniels wasn't done. He immediately stepped in and landed a perfectly timed punch. It was the cleanest one-punch KO I've ever seen in MMA. Wilker was obviously devastated after getting hit with that real-life Tekken move, but at number 3, Kato was out for revenge. At Bellator 139, Hisaki Kato's Superman punch on Joe Schilling was one of the most unexpected one-punch knockouts ever. Just 34 seconds into the second round, Kato absolutely annihilated Schilling. That punch was so brutal that after this fight, Schilling's ego was so damaged that he headed to a local bar to blow off some steam on an untrained civilian. Man, that was the only W Schilling could get, but Dan Henderson at UFC 100 was not in the mood to get any L's. During his fight against Michael Bisping, Dan Henderson went all out to finish the job. Somewhere around the second round, he launched a massive right-hand hook that knocked Bisping out cold. But Henderson didn't stop there. He followed up with his notorious H-bomb, leaving Bisping unconscious for a while. There aren't many fights where your opponent has his face positioned in the right spot to get knocked out, but that's exactly what happened with Rafael Assunção. At UFC 250, Cody Garbrandt put Rafael Assunção to sleep with a punch straight out of an action movie. Just look at the way he loads up his fist. I don't think I've ever seen someone wind up a punch that much and actually land it. It was so brutal that Assunção couldn't even get off the mat. And if you thought these one-punch KOs were brutal, just wait until you see the craziest knockouts in MMA history. Click that video on your screen right now.